Hey, everybody, and welcome to the MLB opening day edition of the Screwball podcast here on the Prairie Puck Boys. I'm Nathan Ryder, joined with Michael Cake, and we got some good news that baseball is actually back among the coronavirus pandemic. But before we jump into our season predictions for the 60-game Major League Baseball season, three major news events have happened within the last 24 to 48 hours that I think we should talk about to open. And the first is the stadium situation of the Toronto Blue Jays being denied by health officials in Canada of getting the national interest exemption to cross the border to play Major League Baseball there. And people in Pittsburgh saying hell no, and then the Orioles approving, and now we're just waiting to hear from the health officials in Maryland. So do you think Baltimore is the answer, Mike, or are the Blue Jays going to end up in Dunedin or Buffalo?
I'd say go to Buffalo, personally. I think your AAA team's there. You can easily call up your players if you're there. You don't have to have them have the plane ride or anything like that. It limits travel time between your AAA team and your baseball team. I just think it's easier to have it there, kind of where you are. And I think it's closer to home as well, so I think that'll be helpful for you guys as well. Just in case you do have to make any emergency, go back to Toronto type moves. And I just think it'd be easier to go to Buffalo. And I think that this is the opportunity for the MLB to kind of see if Buffalo is a kind of location where you could potentially have a team and see how traveling works with teams and stuff like that. Just kind of see if there's a future there in baseball for the Buffalo team.
Yeah, I think Baltimore would probably be the best answer, because the thing about Buffalo is that you'd have to put money into infrastructure at that park, because it's got the lighting standards for minor league baseball, but it's not up to snuff for Major League Baseball. Plus it's a smaller clubhouse in Buffalo than you'll have in Toronto or Baltimore or Pittsburgh, and that kind of makes things a little bit harder to social distance and all that good jazz. Like there's already been cases of COVID in Major League Baseball, and people have opted out of the season because of it. And I just think it would be a lot, because you would put all that money into Salem Field in Buffalo or TD Ballpark in Dunedin, and then you would use it for a season, and then there isn't a Major League Baseball team going back there next season. It's just going to be the Bisons or the Dunedin Blue Jays next year, assuming we get back to some normalcy after the pandemic. And I just hope that they don't have to play 60 road games this year, even without fans.
Yeah, well, they have to at this point. That's why even if they go to Buffalo, it's kind of like home, because a lot of these players played in the AAA team, so they have it kind of as their home field.
Yeah, I think 19 of the players on the Blue Jays opening day roster that they announced today were on the Bisons at some point last season.
Exactly. So you can easily just go to Buffalo. It feels like home. You have your home team there,
Right. But let's move on to the second section that I have of the open today, and that's Washington Nationals young superstar Juan Soto has tested positive for coronavirus and will miss the first 2 weeks of the season at least, including the opener against the Yankees, which, as of recording this, first pitch is in about 60 minutes. So that's a huge blow for Washington to me. That might change my whole view on Washington. If you miss shortened 60-game season and you're missing Soto for potentially 10 games, so a sixth of your season you don't have your best player. They'll need guys to step up to fill that void, definitely, because I thought Juan Soto was one of the guys in the big leagues that could even hit 400 this year. That's how high I was on Juan Soto coming into the season.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is Turner's time to kind of show what his value is, because he came in, had the hot rookie year, and then since then he's kind of gone downhill a bit. So I think this is his chance to show that he's still a very good player and he could still be the future of the Nationals as well with Soto. So I think this is his chance to really show who he is as a player.
Yeah, and Washington, I don't think they'll still be a tough team, with Scherzer, Strasburg, Corbin as the top three in that rotation. but I don't think they're quite the same team they were last year offensively when you were replacing guys with you're replacing guys like Rendon with rookies like Keyboom and Asdrubal Cabrera. Given that I think they are one of the teams that benefit from the universal designated hitter this year, so you don't have to put Howie Kendrick in the field at all. Howie Kendrick can just swing the bat, and I think that's beneficial for him, and it might add a couple more years to his career. Given he did have an insanely good season last year. I think he hit like 330 or 340 last year. I'd have to double check the stats, but like as we said in one of the previous podcasts, I said I don't think Kendrick's going to do that again this year. I don't think he's going to hit for that high of an average and hit 20 bombs. For definitely not in a 60-game season. I could see him hitting 8 to 12 in a 60-game season, but I don't think I don't know if he's going to hit for that same average that he did last year. So, and the last point of the Open is Mookie Betts got paid by the LA Dodgers for 12 years, signed through 2032, which I think is interesting considering the timing of this whole signing with the state of the world right now. And great job to Mookie Betts and his agent for securing that kind of money at this time. I thought teams would be a little bit more frugal with money, given the state of the world right now. But Mookie gets his money. What do you think that means for the Dodgers moving forward?
I think it's a good deal for the Dodgers. I think having Bellinger and Mookie Betts gets them in a very good position, just as your top two future players there. Obviously, your main players that you've had for a long time are getting older, like Clayton Kershaw and players like that are kind of getting older. So to have two safe players that you know are going to be younger and you can take your team far, I think that's good for that team for sure. As well as having Corey Seager as well. I think having all of them, it kind of makes it a kind of nice little three-headed monster for them. And I think that this team could be good for a very long time. Probably will make it to the World Series again and probably lose again.
Yeah, I think I won't talk about the Dodgers too much, but I think it'll giving out that kind of money with some of the contracts they have on the books, and they got guys they'll need to pay dump trucks of money to here to keep him in LA. Like I'm talking Bellinger, they'll need to pay him a healthy chunk of change. Walker Buehler will want to get paid, and if you got money tied up in Betts, Kershaw, Kenley Jansen, AJ Pollock, Turner, guys like that, like they kind of need some of those guys to come off the books right now. Like they were good signings when they made the deals, but right now they're at the end of their contracts and they got other contracts due right now, and they kind of need those contracts to come off the books, I think. So.
And I think that was kind of a not risky move at all. I think the fact that they did make the signing, I think no doubt Mookie Betts is one of the better players in the league. And not to mention, for what they got for him, I think this is a steal for the Dodgers.
And like Boston, if they knew he was going to sign this extension, could have got a lot more in that trade. So LA just absolutely fleeces Boston in that trade earlier in the offseason. So speaking of Boston, let's talk about the American League East and how we think the teams are going to stack up this year. For those who are unfamiliar, it's a 60-game Major League Baseball schedule this year. Teams will be playing mainly teams within their own division. I think you play 10 games against everyone within your own division, and then you play 3 or 4 from the same division in the other league. So the AL East will play the NL East, AL Central, NL Central, AL West, NL West. That's how the interleague play is going to work this year. And you won't play anybody if you're East. You don't like the Jays aren't going to Seattle this year, unless postseason. But that's basically how the playing is going to work this year. So a lot of teams have some ridiculously difficult schedules that they'll have to deal with because of given the AL East. The AL East will be a pretty fun division to watch, and like the NL East is also going to be a pretty tight division. So I think you have 3-4 teams that realistically have a shot at that division, and all those interleague games will be crucial. Like if you can beat up on Baltimore, you got to take every advantage of that, right? So I'll tell you, I got the in the American League East, I got the Yankees winning that division. I just think their depth is by far the best, potentially of any team in baseball. Not going to go out and say they win the World Series, but I wouldn't be shocked if they win a ring come October. I got Tampa Bay coming in second. I just think they got really good. They got really good pitching, and even though they made a couple head scratching moves in the offseason, trading like Tommy Pham and Emilio Pagan, like Hunter Renfroe can hit bombs.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be all that matters. If he can just get really hot at the right time in a 60-game season, he could do something. I don't have them as a playoff team as of right now, but yeah, Toronto in third place, exciting young team, pieces to watch. Still a couple question marks for me on the mound with how that's going to work. Like a lot of the guys that they have on the pitching staff this year, I don't know if they'll be tremendous for them this year. Like Shoemaker was really good last year. If he could be as good as he was last year, that's great. Tanner Roark, they signed him in the offseason from Oakland to a 2-year deal. I'm not very high on him. I think his ERA was mid to high fours last year. I got Boston in fourth. Boston just lost a lot on the mound. Their opening day starter this year is Nathan Eovaldi, given when they've had Chris Sale and David Price start in years past. And then fifth place, I got Baltimore. Because, it's Baltimore, and Baltimore's in the start of a long rebuild at the moment. So,
All right. So obviously I have the Yankees won because their team is unreal. The addition of Garrett Cole is only going to make their starters better, and just bringing him in, just Severino and players like that, I think is really key for them. And I think they needed that starting pitching. They've had all those chances with other aces in the past, like Sonny Gray a couple years ago, and different pitchers like that. So I think bringing in somebody who is that superstar like Cole was huge for this team in the offseason. And you can't go wrong with having Judge and Giancarlo Stanton hitting bombs all year. So
right.
those two are going to just go off this year, I think. I think Giancarlo Stanton has a chance to, if he really, really wants to have 25-plus home runs this year. And I think that if he can be healthy all year, he can definitely do that just because he was on pace to have 70 that one year. And then he got hurt. So give him a full season, he will hit bombs all year. My number two, I'm going with the Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays are going to surprise some people this year. I think the big deals the Rays made will come back to bite them a little bit. And I think that the Blue Jays with a shortened season, their players are going to be hungry. Their players are going to be ready to go. They're young guys, so they're going to have a lot more energy than a lot of these older teams. So I think that they're going to surprise some people and maybe make the playoffs. Maybe not make a deep run, but I think they will make the playoffs. Three is the Rays. I still like this team a lot. Blake Snell is going to have a nice bounce back year, I think. I say bounce back. He still had a pretty good year last year, but I think he still wasn't that same player he was the year before. So I think he's going to bounce back. Renfrew, again, like you said, is going to hit bombs. This team's just all around pretty good, and their bullpen is phenomenal. So I think that this team's going to go a long way with them. And then I have the Red Sox. I think this team will be close. I think this team is a lot better than a lot of people give them credit for, just by having Xander Bogaerts and Devers. I think those two are very good, and I think they can carry them quite a bit. Obviously, it's not going to take them very far. Their pitching staff is atrocious this year. You can't really lean on Chris Sale that much this year, but
He's out for the year.
yeah, exactly. You can't lean on him, so you can't really do a whole lot with that team. Nathan Eovaldi's not going to be your ace. I'm telling you that right now. We'll see how it turns out for them, but I think making that Mookie Betts, David Price deal was one of the worst decisions they could have made in a long time.
And then you got Baltimore.
And then Baltimore's Baltimore. They're trash.
Baltimore is Baltimore. That you heard it here first, folks. Like, yeah, I think the Rays and the Yankees have like some sneaky good depth.
Yeah.
Like guys like Luke Voigt, Aaron Hicks, Willie Adames, Brandon Lau, guys like that you don't think a lot of that aren't household names, but they still put up solid numbers and they're key pieces for Tampa, right? So I think I think that's how the cookie crumbles in the American League East. It'll be tough for anybody to challenge the Yankees, especially with Cole. And they can even choose to run like a 4-man rotation, like another team that we're going to talk about later is running this year. They just announced their opening day roster, and they're running a 4-man rotation, which will be interesting to watch. So let's talk about the American League Central. I have, like I said earlier, I had the Chicago White Sox winning the division. I think they got some guys that are very good. Even, like guys like Yohan Moncada, Tim Anderson. They'll have young guys coming up, Luis Robert, whatever. However you say his last name, he'll be good. Zara, guys like Abreu, Encarnacion, Grandal that they added this offseason. Like that's a sneaky good team. And I think and they're fun to watch, and I think they'll have a lot of potential to dethrone the Twins in that division. Like the Twins hit bombs, but I mean, that's kind of not the key to winning in October. It's how you can manufacture runs and stuff. And that's kind of what the Yankees showed them last year. Like it's watching the Twins-Yankees series in Major League Baseball is like the closest thing to slavery in today's society, because that's how good New York is against Minnesota in the playoffs. Like Minnesota almost has no chance. If Minnesota matched up against New York in the playoffs, I'd be surprised if it went 4 games. I'd be shocked. If I was a betting man, I'd say the Yankee sweep if that matchup happens. I got the Twins in second place in the Central and finishing as the first wild card seed in the American League. They'll have a lot of same pieces from last year. They added a little bit of depth in Homer Bailey, Rich Hill, guys like that on the mound. And they still have guys that can bop: Donaldson, Sano, Polanco, Luis Arias, Rosario, Kepler, Garver. Like they have strong bats, and that little bit of pitching depth will help them. But I think given some of there can be an inconsistent team, and I think that'll bite them a little bit in a shortened season. So I got Minnesota taking the first wild card seed in second place in the Central. I got Cleveland in third place. Good pitching. It's just the offense. Is there enough there? Like you got Lindor, Reyes, guys like that. But what else is? I need to see more than just the superstars, right? Like I need to see those guys step up. And then Kansas City and Detroit in fourth and fifth place, respectively. Both of those teams are still kind of rebuilding, and I think it'll be 2, 3, 4 years until you see those teams be competitive again. So that's how I have the cookie crumbling in the American League Central.
Okay. So I have the Twins first. I think that the team was phenomenal on offense last year, and adding a player like Josh Donaldson to that lineup is only going to make them better. I think they got some nice pitching with Barrios coming up and everybody like that, and having all these amazing pitchers coming up like Gibson, people like that. And just having that kind of all-around team, they're slowly building it up, and I really like their roster this year, especially with Josh Donaldson on that third base side. And then number 2, I have the Indians. I think Jose Ramirez is going to have a bounce-back year. I think last year he kind of had an on and off year, and I think this year he's going to show again why he was an MVP caliber player 2 years ago. I think he's going to come back and he's going to be phenomenal. Obviously, they have Lindor. Shane Bieber's, I think, going to be a Cy Young candidate, in my opinion. He's really good, and I think he's going to continue to be really good. And I think this team just has more experience than the White Sox, so I think that's why they'll be above the White Sox. The White Sox are obviously third on mine. They're really good. I love Tim Anderson. I love their whole roster. Their pitching staff is only going to get better because he keeps making nice signings in their pitching staff. And having Golito as your main one is obviously going to be fantastic for you. And this team's only going to get deeper with young talent. And Moncada is probably going to hit 20 home runs this year.
Moncada's the only thing that scares me about Moncada and Anderson is that their batting average on balls in play last year, their BABIP, were both way above
Wow.
league average. Both Moncada and Anderson. And Moncada was hurt for a bit last year, so his numbers might have been a little bit dipped a little bit south towards the end of the year if he wasn't hurt for that period of time. But I still think that what Moncada and Anderson showed last year was for real. I still think they're both over 300 plus caliber hitters.
Yeah.
Will they be like 320, 330? Probably not. You're probably looking to 300 to 310 batting average for both of them. But yeah, like they'll be a great pieces for the White Sox for years to come.
And obviously 4 and 5, I have the Royals and Tigers. Watch out, Solar might surprise some people and win the home run championship. Be careful.
Jorge Soler, former Chicago Cub.
Former
Looking
bad
good.
Chicago Cub.
He did take off in KC, that's for sure. Let's talk about the American League West for a second. We got I'll break it down how I have it, then you'll do vice versa. I got the LA Angels winning the division, led by the GOAT, Michael Trout, and Anthony Rendon. I think that team, Trout needed a sidekick, and I think that was a perfect spot for Rendon to go because he can kind of fly under the radar a bit behind Mike Trout, and he doesn't have to be the superstar taking all the attention like he would in a different market. But playing with Mike Trout, everyone's going to be talking about Mike Trout, so he can, and I think he kind of digs that where he can just kind of be there and not be the guy everyone wants to interview every night kind of thing. And they improved their pitching depth, getting guys like Dylan Bundy. You got solid major league starters 1 through 5 in the rotation. There's nobody that's an ace in that rotation by any means. Like you'll get good starts from Andrew Heaney, Dylan Bundy, guys like that, and that's all you really need is to have your pitching staff keep you in ball games with that kind of offense. And if you do that, the Angels will be a successful team this year, I think. Second place, I have my second team in the American League wild card. I got the Oakland Athletics being second place in that division and making a wild card spot. Like they have some guys that can swing it that might not get the attention, the big massive media attention. Matt Chapman, Olsen, Crush Davis could have a bounce back year. He had a negative WAR last season. I think in a shortened season, if he gets hot, he could put up some really good numbers. And their pitching staff, you got Manaea back at full strength. You have Jesus Luzardo starting in the bullpen. Starting in the bullpen after his bout with COVID. He'll be in the rotation by year's end, I think. And I think like if you can get one or two starters, if you can get two starters on any one team that have tremendous years, that might be all it takes to get into the playoffs with 60 games. Third place, I have Houston. Houston, I think, for me, the guys there, do they have the guys that'll step up to replace Garrett Cole? I don't think they will, and I think the offense might take a little bit of a step back this year. I think you had last year over 100 wins for Houston, and I think some guys had some career years last year that you might see a step back from. First candidate that comes to mind is Yuli Gurriel. Well, he's 35, 36 years old. Will he put up the same numbers that he did last year? I'm in the opinion he does not. Fourth place, I have the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers don't really have anybody who really jumps off the page at you when you look. Kluber, but he's coming off injury.
I know.
And will he be the same pitcher he was with Cleveland? Honestly, I don't. After this whole season was delayed, yada yada yada, I don't think Kluber will be. I think Kluber won't be the same guy he was with Cleveland this year.
Yeah.
Joey Gallo was the other guy I was going to talk about for them. Like those are the two guys that really jump out to you. So Rangers in fourth, fifth place, Seattle Mariners. I'm hoping you'll see some excitement from some young guys develop for them this year. That's why they might kind of be a little bit fun to watch. I want to see Justice Sheffield take a step in the right direction. Maybe the major league debut of someone like a Kellenic. That's mainly what I'm looking for from Seattle this year. I don't think Seattle's going to be competing for October.
Okay. So, this is very different smears. I have the Astros 1. I think they have the bona fide ace in Justin Verlander. I still think that Lance McCullers and Zach Greinke are very good pitchers, and I think those two could very well be very good pitchers. And their offense is still one of the best offenses in the league. Obviously, there was a big loss. I can't remember his name. Alvarez. Yes, he's not playing.
Jordan Alvarez.
Yeah,
I think he's got Corona.
yeah. So he's going to be out for a bit. So they might have a slow start, but I think once he comes back, I think they're going to be even better. They're still one of the more deeper rosters in the league. They solved their catching with Malandando. They've done so much just to keep their team afloat even without Garrett Cole. And I think the acquisition of Zach Greinke last year is going to come back and be even bigger than it was when they made the trade. So I think he's going to once again show why he's still one of the better pitchers in the league. My number 2, I'm going to go with the Angels. I'm going to talk about a Facebook argument I got in the comment section with somebody a couple years ago where I said the Angels are going to make the playoffs in a couple years. And they said I was an idiot. So the fact that now they have built around Mike Trout and they have built around it, I just want to say, I don't remember the dude's name, but suck it, I guess. I think they're making the playoffs. I think they could do a lot with Rendon on that roster. I do like what they did with their rotation. I just think that they don't have that bona fide ace. Like, do you trust Dylan Bundy in a huge game? Probably not. Like, I don't know. I liked the signing when they did it, but at the same time, he's coming off a losing mentality with the Orioles, and I just don't think he's the guy per se. But there's still a very good roster. I think Ohtani's going to show that he's a great 1-2 punch. I guess you can say 1-2 punch. Is he starting?
I forgot to even mention, but yeah, he'll be back on the mound this year. Like, who gets Tommy John surgery and then comes back the next year and has almost a 900 OPS? No one. Exactly. Only Shohei. And he'll only benefit from the universal DH. So when the Angels play interleague games, they'll still get his bat in the lineup, even when he's not pitching. So, and he'll be a super dangerous guy to have in a shortened season, because he's one of those guys that in a 162 game you'd be worried about innings and stuff like that. You don't really have that worry with a 60 game season. He's going to be nowhere near worrying about innings this year. So
yeah,
makes it even more dangerous in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly right. And then obviously the Athletics are third. I like their roster a lot. I think it's a lot deeper than a lot of people think it is. The fact that they do have these like you said, lesser known players that are blowing up, like Chapman, Chris Davis, and his weird back to back. Well, not last year, but his back to back exact same stats. It's just super weird that he can just keep doing that. And I think that he will have a bounce back year, like you did say. And this team I think is really good, and I guess you said it all about them really. And then Texas is just
Texas is just Texas.
Yeah, Texas and Seattle are just bad. Shout out to Seattle, by the way, for the Seattle Kraken in the NHL. Very dope logo, very nice jerseys. I'm a little confused about the Kraken. I'll make a video myself about it though. But yeah, I just think those two are the bottom feeders. Joey Gallo is going to hit bombs, obviously. Mazzara is going to hit bombs. And Mazzara plays for the White Sox now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to hit bombs anyway. I mean,
it was Mazzara for Steele Walker.
Yeah, I forgot about that trade.
Was that trade. But as you're saying about Chris Davis, he hit 4 years in a row. He batted .247.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's consistently of 4 years in a row. It's ridiculous.
But
I mean, it's not a good batting average, but still.
He will hit .247.
If he doesn't hit .247, I swear to God.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about the National League now and what we think's gonna happen there? We'll start with the East like we did in the American League. And I think there'll be two division champions in the state of New York this year. I think the Mets are going to win that division. You got possibly the best pitcher of this generation in DeGrom
Uh-huh.
in that, and they added a lot of depth in that bullpen to help shorten the game for them this year. Like you got Dylan Betances, bounce back year from Jurice Familia, Edwin Diaz start pitching like Edwin Diaz. Mike, if Michael Wacha can improve a little bit from last year, like you got the staff there, and you got the bats. You got Polar Bear Pete, who can just hit bombs, and look very awkward in a workout shirt and goggles. God, that picture was funny. Jeff McNeil, Michael Conforto, all those guys. Universal DH. You could even get Robbie Canosa maybe, and he could improve significantly.
Oh, he's still Robinson Cano. Like you can't go wrong with him.
Right. I got in second place. I got the Atlanta Braves. Even though their signing of Puig fell through because Puig had Corona.
How unlucky of a freaking career for this dude, man.
Well, the thing about Puig is that like his first few years when he hit really good, his BABIP was like first in the league, and then he didn't have good luck after that.
That's the thing, because last year he didn't play awful. He hit 27 home runs last year, didn't he?
Something like that with between Cincinnati and Cleveland.
Yeah, like he played well last year, so I'm surprised he doesn't have a job. Well, I mean, COVID's why he doesn't have a job, but
Yeah, and like he had offers, he just didn't take any. So, Braves, Mike Soroka will lead that staff to great things. Cole Hamels will be there when he eventually pitches for them. He'll be good. The Fresh Prince of Georgia, Will Smith, in that bullpen. Of course, you got to mention Acuna, Freeman,
Albies.
Albies, Swanson, all those guys. I think will be really good this year, and I think that'll make them tough. That'll make them tough to beat because they needed another veteran on the pitching staff, and they got that with Hamels. Third place, I got the World Series champion, Washington Nationals. I think the pitching staff will definitely carry them this year, but that bullpen, they added Will Harris, but I mean, what else did they really do?
Didn't do a damn thing.
And that bullpen could be like a little exposed, considering that team through 60 games last year, Washington wasn't even sniffing the postseason, and they came back to win the world, and they ended up winning the World Series. But if they start this year like they did last year, they're going to be nowhere near the playoffs. Fourth place, Philadelphia Phillies. Even though Bryce Harper thinks big things, I thought Wheeler, good. He's a good arm, but I think he was the team was kind of like desperate. We need pitching. So they signed Wheeler from the Mets. And like, what are they going to do with JT Realmuto in a year? If the Bet signing puts pressure on the Phillies to try and re-up him.
I mean, it shouldn't realistically, but they might.
And they didn't really do much to the bullpen. They still got Hector Neris as the back of their bullpen right now. And then Miami in last place. But what you can hope for from Miami is to see some development from young guys this year. Maybe Brian Anderson will have a good year for them, and you get someone to have a sneaky good season for the Marlins. Maybe someone like a Garrett Cooper has a good year.
Jose Urena, like you got to hope that Jose Urena just has a fantastic year for you. Finally, show something.
I was thinking more like Sandy Alcantara or Jordan Yamamoto.
I mean, I thought so too, but at the same time, Urena, you've been having him for 5 years now, and he's still not up to par.
I never really liked the guy after he beamed Acuna.
True.
That was kind of a low. I think it was more him than the Marlins, but yeah. What do you think? How do you think the East is going to shape this year?
All right, so I got some predictions in mind, actually. I'm going to go with the Braves #1, and I think Mike Soroka is going to win Cy Young. I think he's going to have a nice bounce back year. Totally not biased at all that he's my
Calgary,
best
Alberta.
Calgary, Alberta, and he literally knows my my friend's brother. So, it's not no. I generally think he's a fantastic pitcher, and I think he will do great things. I thought he could have been Cy Young last year before DeGrom went off. So
Yeah.
I just think that is going to be a huge thing. This roster is super young, and it's only going to get better as it grows. Like Freddie Freeman's going to get better and better. Albies is obviously going to get better and better. Acuna, like they have so many good players that are so young, and they're just going to keep improving. Like Dansby Swanson, even he's going to improve too.
I think if Swanson takes a step forward with the bat, and you get Austin Riley to be a major league average third baseman, watch out.
The big loss will obviously be Nick Markakis not playing this year,
And Josh Donaldson.
and Josh Thompson not being there, obviously. But I just think that they put their trust into Riley, and I think Riley's going to produce for them. My #2, I'm going to go with the Mets, just like you said. DeGrom and Syndergaard are just phenomenal.
No Syndergaard this year. Tommy John.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
And
That news came out of nowhere, and you just forget about it every single time.
And the world, you forget about these things because the world is in such a bad place.
Well, yeah, and I'm not used to like checking sports again. Like I went for like months without checking sports, right?
Without checking this, how many times did you check the Score app and there's no new news? Like,
oh, I used to check the score up like 100 times a day. So the fact that I haven't been checking it lately, I'm finally getting back into it.
I still check it a little bit. So,
but yeah, and I think that obviously Stroman's still there as well, and then obviously he's on the 10-day JL right now. But he's obviously still a fantastic pitcher. I miss him in Toronto. I wish he was still at Ace, but it's whatever. And this offense just is fantastic, right? Like Pete Alonso, Cano, like you said, J.D. Davis, like it just goes on and on. There's so many good offensive bats on this team, and I think this team can't go wrong, really. My #3, I'm going to go with the Phillies. I think the fact that they have McCutchen coming back, I think Real Muto is going to have a fantastic year. I think Bryce Harper is going to have a bounce back year. I mean, he didn't play awful, I guess, but he wasn't good by any means. I just think this team is built very well. I think Kingery, I know his
Scott Kingery.
Yeah, he's I love him, not because I had him in a baseball game at all, but hey, I think he's going to take a step forward. I think he played very well last year in the first half of the year, and I think he kind of slowed down a bit in the second, or vice versa. And I just think that this team could be a lot better than people think they'll be. And like Bryce Harper said, they could do some fantastic things, but it all depends on McCutchen, in my opinion. I think if McCutchen comes back and can be even half of what he was when he was an MVP, I think this team can go very far. My #4 is Washington. Like you said, Soto being gone is so huge. And I think that they're going to have a slow start to the year, and I think they're not going to be able to bounce back from it. I think that Trey Turner is not going to show how good he is. I think that their offense is going to be really bad this year because of Rendon being gone and the fact that they're going to have to rely on their pitching. And how far can you rely on your pitching for when you have those three? I think Corbin's going to run out of energy. And I think
they rode those guys like Corbin, Scherzer, Strasburg. They rode all of those guys really hard in October last year. And I mean, like every game matters in a 60-game season, especially. It's gonna be a lot closer and whatnot. Yeah. So
and you're gonna ride them hard, and they're gonna get tired. Saying it right now, those three are gonna get tired, and then who are you gonna turn to?
No, Daniel Hudson.
Oh no, Daniel Hudson.
Will Harris. Doolittle.
Notice how two of those three are former Blue Jays. Anyway. And finally, the Marlins, obviously. You can't really expect anything from them. They're the Marlins. I just want some development. I want to see the Marlins be good at some point. I really wish Jose Fernandez was still here. That would
make Miami at least fun to watch. Given I think if he was still alive now, they probably would have traded him by now.
Oh, they probably would have. Him and Carlos Stanton would have been gone. But I think they would have kept Stanton around a little bit more if they had that ace.
Yeah, definitely. But on to the Central in the National League. I got the Cincinnati Reds taking the crown in that division. As much as I hate, as a Cubs fan, I think the Reds are going to do it with, like, you got Bauer, who can hopefully pitch like Trevor Bauer, to join Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray. And I think they had Anthony DeSclafani as the fourth in that four-man rotation.
Yeah, that's their plan.
And then they made some solid additions in the offseason. They got a Nick Castellanos in free agency, and he was insane with the Cubs in the second half of the season last year. Shogo Akiyama from Japan. Like, I think he'll be sneaky good this year. Like, he's been a 2020 guy in Japan.
Uh-huh.
I don't think he'll be that in a 60-game season, but whatever the equivalent of 2020 would be in 60 games, kind of thing. Second place, I got the Chicago Cubs. I think they had a little bit of a meltdown last year. I think they'll be able to adjust. They'll be able to adjust some things despite not making big moves in the offseason. I think that I don't have them making the playoffs, unfortunately, but I still think they can be a competitive team. And that's always fun to watch when your favorite teams in competition. That your team's playing meaningful baseball in September. I got St. Louis Cardinals coming in third place. For me, it's just that bullpen. That bullpen in October, kind of in the Brave series with Martinez, kind of showed a little bit of with Carlos Martinez as the closer. Like, he blew a couple saves in October, and against the Braves, and I don't think he was anything special against Washington.
I just gotta say, what the heck happened to Martinez, man? He was so good as a starter. So, like, 2 years ago, he got Tommy John, didn't he?
I'm shoulder surgery, I think, but I'm not sure. But
one of the two. But then he came back, and he's not the same.
And right now, I think Mike Schilt was going to have Hyung-Soo Kim, I think was his name.
Uh-huh.
Left-hander they signed out of Korea, was going to be their closer. And if I followed some KBO Twitter accounts and stuff because there was no baseball. I was watching KBO, and like, he's never closed in the KBO. He was a starter in the KBO too. So he's got zero closing experience. So you're telling me he's going to close in Major League Baseball? Like, I don't think so. But they'll have fun guys to watch in Flaherty, Goldschmidt, and the gang. I forgot Atlanta signed Marcell Ozuna from them. So another point for Atlanta, another loss for St. Louis. But maybe you see Canadian Tyler O'Neill fill that spot. Fourth place, Milwaukee Brewers. They lost. Moustakis was a big loss for them. Eric Thames was a loss for them. I don't think he was huge. He wasn't huge for them, but I think Smoke will be an upgrade defensively. I think he'll be the same, if not worse, offensively than Eric Thames.
Yeah, because you can't really put him in the 4 spot or the 3 spot like he was on the Blue Jays. So he's not really going to produce as much as he did on the Blue Jays.
Like, is he the type of guy that you're going to put behind Yelich in the lineup? Like, I don't think so. Like, you'll probably have like Lorenzo, Yelich, maybe a Keston Hiura, somebody like that. Like, they lost Yasmani Grandal too, and he had a great season for them. And I don't think, even though I got Omar Narvaez in fantasy, because he does good for me in MLB The Show. So don't know if that translates to actual Major League Baseball, but we'll see. So, but Narvaez is not Grandal behind the plate.
Uh-huh.
That might come back to bite him. And then last place, Pittsburgh Pirates. I think Pittsburgh's going to go back into some dark places as a franchise here because of one trade, and that was Chris Archer for Tyler Glasnow and Austin Meadows. I think that set the franchise back at least 5 years to making their next postseason appearance.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, let's go through mine real quick. Like you, I have the Reds. It's very similar to yours, if not the exact same. I just have no. It's like the exact same. Yeah, it is. I'm going to talk about the Brewers though, and being the team of rejected players. If you look at their roster, literally, I'll pull up the roster. Their freaking roster is like Brock Holt, kind of rejected. Logan Morrison, rejected. Eric Sogard, rejected. Justin Smoke is kind of rejected now. Like, it's just a bunch of players who are just rejected by their teams. Garcia, kind of rejected. Gamble,
Garcia's good though.
he's good, but he was still kind of rejected by the White Sox a little bit. Gamble was rejected by the Mariners a couple years ago, too. Like, this team is just a bunch of rejects.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, Colton Wong, I love on the Cardinals. Just gonna talk about players I like. Obviously, I love the Reds roster. Irvin is gonna be sick this year. Josh Bell obviously is a fantastic batter. Eventually, they'll trade him. I think they'll trade him during the trade deadline, if there is one this year.
I wish the Pirates had Jameson Tyon to watch at least. So it would be fun to watch him start a game. But maybe Mitch Keller has a good year and he'll be fun to watch for the Pirates.
Maybe Chris Archer will actually have a decent year for once.
He's out for the year with shoulder surgery.
This dude, man.
I don't think Chris Archer's going to get – he's not going to get paid a lot of – he might have to sign like a one-year approved deal in free agency kind of thing.
And go to the bullpen.
Maybe.
You know what? I think this team's going to be really good because of Derek Holland. Yep, Derek Holland. Let's do it.
Derek Holland. I remember that guy was a really good starter in Texas.
Yeah.
And then I saw him pitch last summer for the Cubs, and he got booed off the field because he gave up 3 runs and didn't get it out of the bullpen. So
I really hope Gregory Polanco comes back and plays well.
Yeah, but God, what was the name? Jung Ho Gung.
No, yeah.
Remember that guy on Pittsburgh? Like that's just been the bad luck of the Pirates franchise, where it's like they trade for Archer and give up those 2 guys, which is fine if Archer is a perennial Cy Young candidate in Pittsburgh. Has he been that? Hell no.
He wasn't even a perennial ace or like Cy Young winner that year for the Rays.
Yeah. I don't know why they made that trade, but Jung
Young,
Ho Gung was a productive bat for them. And then he got like DUIs in 3 countries. How is that even possible? Because I think he had South Korea, United States, and one other country, I think. Or it might have been 2 countries. But he had DUIs in both countries. I don't know how that's possible. and you don't die.
I think the reason why Chris Archer looked so good was because he was after Price for a long time. And whenever you're behind Price's numbers and you have that scale of comparison, you look a lot better.
Yeah. And they saw Price the night before, and Archer was something totally different. Right? So and Tampa Bay is like wizardry when it comes to pitching staffs, but that's a conversation for another day.
True.
So on to the National League West. And I think this could be a interesting-ish division. I still think I got the Dodgers winning the crown because they got Mookie Betts.
I think David Price is going to be better for them too.
David Price isn't playing this year.
He's not all right. See, these news comes out. I don't check it.
He opted out of the season due to coronavirus, but he would have been a nice piece in that Dodger rotation. But they have guys that can fill that void. You might see somebody else get some starts for them that normally wouldn't. Maybe a Brewstar Gratterall, which I don't know why the Twins gave up on him for Kenta Maeda, but it beats me because I think Gratterall could be a elite closer. But Dodgers, great depth both in the field and on the mound. I think you'll see the Dodgers deep into October. Will they win the pennant? It's so unpredictable. I can't say, but they'll be there. Second place in my second wild card team in the National League, I got the Diamondbacks. The big acquisitions of the offseason for them being Starling Marte and Madison Bumgarner.
Oh yeah.
God, it looks weird to see Bumgarner in anything other than black and orange. And like Bumgarner gives them a solid veteran starter, and they got like some sneaky good guys in that rotation, like Zach Gallen will be good for them. They got him for Jazz Chisholm from the Marlins last year. So yeah, that's what I have. And they have some sneaky good guys, like Eduardo Escobar was basically a utility guy, and then he exploded. He exploded with the Twins, and the Diamondbacks picked him up, and he's been great with the Diamondbacks. Third place, I got the San Diego Padres. They'll have some young guys to watch, one of the best farm systems in baseball, and they'll have some young arms that'll be fun. Chris Paddock, maybe Cal Quantrill, Canadian, Kirby Yates in that bullpen, obviously Machado, Tatis, Hosmer. They got Tommy Pham joining them from Tampa Bay. And I think they'll narrowly miss out on October. I don't think they'll be that far out. They might be a game or two out. The Padres, fourth place, the Rockies. Rockies won't have the pitching this year. Their lineup looks great. But I don't will they be able to will that lineup be able to carry the pitching staff through 60 games? I don't think so. And then last place, I got the San Francisco Giants. I mean, their best players opted out of the season due to coronavirus, and that was in Buster Posey. So I think it'll be a pretty bleak season for San Francisco.
Again, I'm very similar to you in that way, that I have it that way. I want to say shout out to Daniel Bard for not making a roster for 7 years and then making the Rockies this year.
Yeah, that was a good story. How he had the yips and couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, and now he's pitching in Major League Baseball again.
So shout out to him. I just want to say I forgot that Kevin Pillar doesn't play for the Giants anymore, and I'm just gonna say fuck you for going to the Red Sox, Kevin Pillar, but I still love you.
Yeah, like they'll still have guys that can do good, like maybe Mike Yastrzemski, but that might be like the bright spot to watch this year.
Brandon Crawford, Evan Longoria, obviously. He's injured right now. Pablo Sandoval.
Oh my thick boy Pablo. Did you see the picture of him after quarantine? Like he was a big dude.
He's massive.
Johnny
Cueto bounce back year. Johnny Cueto's gonna have a bounce back year at the age of 35.
I think he's in the last year of his deal too, so he might be dealt at the deadline.
Most likely.
Or he's got one more year on this deal left after this one. So he could be dealt at the deadline. And then who else does San Francisco really have in that rotation? Jeff Samardzija? The Shark? Like there's not a ton there in San Francisco without Bumgarner.
Do you even trust Jeff Samardzija anymore though? Come on.
Last year, second half of the season, he was filthy.
True, but you can think about his track record.
Yeah. Like he was good. He's had some great stretches in his career, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like 2014, when he started the season with the Cubs, like he was the main piece to Oakland that got Russell back to the Cubs, and Russell was the shortstop when they won the World Series. Given he's had some other issues since then, but he's playing in Korea now, I think. But
the absolute fall from grace.
You know who I wish was picked up by a team to be a bullpen arm, but never was? Aaron Sanchez.
Yeah, he's hurt.
Nobody picked him up.
You know what I think somebody should do for a bullpen arm? Jose Bautista.
Jose Bautista, Washington Nationals.
Honestly, bring him into bat. There's only 60 games. You could probably do it.
Come in, pitch the ninth inning, hit a walk-off bomb.
Yeah, see, exactly. You can just – you could probably hit 10 home runs still in a season.
I probably could, yeah. He could – the expanded rosters, he probably could have made it as a bench bat for someone, given bench bats might not be as valuable with the universal DH because you don't have pinch hitters as often in the National League ballpark.
But still, though, Joey Bats, bring him to Toronto.
I don't think they would. They were looking at bringing Encarnacion back, which I think would have been better.
I would have loved it.
They never did. Chicago ended up winning the Eddie sweepstakes.
How the hell did we lose the sweepstakes twice? Encarnacion. How is he going to say no to us and then go to the Indians for less money? How are you going to do that to us?
And then not even win a ring with Cleveland. It makes sense if you win a ring with Cleveland. You didn't win a ring with Cleveland.
If you stayed in Toronto, you probably had a better chance. No, you didn't have a better chance. You made it to the World Series, but still.
No,
that was the year before.
He signed with Cleveland after they were in the World Series because they had like Mike Napoli.
Yeah. Mike Napoli was hitting bombs that year, though.
Yeah. Party at Napoli's was like sick. I wonder if they still sell those T-shirts that say Party at Napoli's.
Probably not. Because he went back to Boston after that, right?
I don't think he's on an active roster now.
Well, yeah, because he went back to the Red Sox, and then he's obviously not in the roster now. But
yeah, you want to do some reward predictions? Quick reward predictions?
Sure. I've already pretty much said all of mine, but
I got the Cy Young in the American League being Garrett Cole. National League, Jacob deGrom. As much as I want to, I'd love to see Soroka prove me wrong. I'd love to see that, but I think deGrom's probably one of the best arms of the generation.
I'm gonna go with Soroka and AL pitcher. I'm gonna go with Verlander again.
Verlander?
Yeah.
Ages like a fine wine.
And it's 60 games. He's not going to have to pitch as much.
True.
So he's going to be fresher.
No, I wrote my predictions before the news today, but I had Trout winning the MVP in the American League, and I had Juan Soto in the National League. Like, that's how good Juan Soto, I think, could be. But if it can't be Soto, probably Yelich or Baez.
I'm going with Yelich and Trout.
Yelich, Trout. I also had Rookie of the Year. I don't know if Bo Bichette used all his rookie eligibility last year. I think he's still technically a rookie this year.
I think he's still technically a rookie, yeah.
So I got Bo Bichette winning the American League Rookie of the Year. And I got because Buster Posey's not playing this year, that'll open up a spot for Joey Bart to play for San Francisco. Yeah. I think Joey Bart's going to win the National League Rookie of the Year.
That's a good shout.
In the NL.
That's a good shout. I can't really think of anybody else, but that's a good shout.
Yeah, because I'm hoping the thing that there's no minor league baseball season this year, it would be fun to see minor league baseball happen and then have a guy come up from like high 8 and then like completely surprise everyone in the major leagues. But at the end of the season, like I love seeing guys do that where they start on the low minors and make it to the major leagues and then surprise people at the end of the year. Like that's always good to watch. Like Kendall Graveman did that with the Blue Jays. He started in Vancouver, finished the year in Toronto. That offseason was dealt to Oakland for Donaldson. And I think he's with the Cubs now. I think
so.
But
he's not good for the Cubs, but he's there.
Yeah, I think the Cubs starting pitching, they need like a true number one is what they need. Because Lester was like that for them, but he's not really like that for them. Darvish is kind of their number one now. And Darvish isn't really a number one.
No, he's not. He was a couple of years ago. He's not now. Well, even then, when he was playing for Texas, I think Holland was actually the number one anyway. Or, no, it's called Hamels. Never mind.
like Hamels, Darvish, Holland. Giovanni Gallardo was on that team too, and he like only pitched well against the Jays.
Yeah, it pissed me off. Made no sense.
Giovanni Gallardo isn't in the major leagues anymore, I think. So,
No, he's
but
not. Manager for each.
manager.
I don't know names. I'm just gonna say team, but
I don't remember some of the managers honestly. Like the Mets isn't Beltran, and I don't know who they hired to replace him.
no.
Same with Boston after they yeeted Cora out of there, because the whole Astros thing. But I think it's Brian Price, manager of the Reds. I think he'll get it in the NL. I'm going with the Reds. David Bell. That's his name. He'll get it in the NL. And then in the AL, God. Give me I just want to say like Terry Francona.
Mm-hmm.
Or God, Joe Madden in California with the Angels.
Yeah, that was mine too.
Joe Madden's just kind of a weird guy, but he's a good manager.
Joe Madden just happens to fall in the perfect location for himself.
That's what he did with the Cubs, that's for sure.
And he did it with the Angels. They're on the up and up now. But
yeah, that's kind of been our take on the 2020 60-game Major League Baseball season. I'm sure you boys are probably going to talk about hockey for the next few days here.
no,
maybe.
I mean, I probably will. No one else will come on.
That's lame. Talk about Seattle and how some people love the name, some people hate the name.
I personally don't like it, but
I think it's fine. Because what would you have called them, like the Emeralds?
no, I just don't know what I would call them. I'll probably think of it before I do an episode myself with it. But
But yeah, that's how we think that the Major League Baseball landscape is going to turn out this year. Definitely going to be some close competition this year. I don't want to cut it off, but I mean, first pitch of the Nationals-Yankees is going to be like in 2 minutes here. So I want to watch that.
yeah, I'm just gonna quickly announce that I'm going to be doing previews for every single series in the NHL and the NBA coming up here. I think I'm just going to blow through those while I wait for my girlfriend to come home, to be honest. Just going to blow through as many of those as I possibly can. And, yeah, I'll probably get those out, as many of them as I can before the season starts. Before it starts. So look out for those. Look out for the NBA ones.
Stay tuned for this wacky year of sports where hockey is being played in August in empty arenas and on a 10-second broadcast delay in case someone swears.
Yeah, so that's going to be all from us here. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you all.
Have a very pleasant evening.
Later.
Bye-bye.